If there's one thing I hate to see on the table, it's a creature with an insane ward cost, having the option to pay it but not the guts. Sauron the Dark Lord is a 7/6 avatar horror for 6 mana. It has ward, sacrifice a legendary artifact or legendary creature, something we all technically have access to. But I don't think I've actually ever seen the ward cost for this creature ever paid when playing against it, so it might as well say hexproof. Because why pay the ward cost and lose my commander when I'd rather someone just wipe the whole board? Regardless, Sauron is an extremely powerful creature, letting you amass Orcs 1 every time one of your opponents casts a spell. It also says that the ring tempts you every time you deal damage to a player with an army. And then when the ring finally does tempt you, you get the option to discard your hand and draw 4 new cards. This commander does a whole lot, and today we're running Sauron in an Aristocrats build to slowly and painfully drain out our opponents. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Common Command for more EDH content like gameplay. A full deck list is down in the description along with our TCG player affiliate link if you feel like making any purchases to the site. Not only will you get your cards for cheap, but you'll help Common Command expand our content. To start this deck off, let's take a look at the ramp. Now a 6 mana commander is a bit costly, so we made sure to include enough ramp to be able to cast him when the ring's power becomes all too much. In the deck, we have Soul Ring along with all 3 Signet color pairs and all 3 Talisman color pairs. Continuing with our 2-drop artifacts, we are also running Arcane Signet, Felwar Stone, and Mind Stone. All of those cards are great for the early game, but we also have some ramp that is more for the mid game. Relic of Sauron and Thran Dynamo will produce just a little bit more mana, while Descent into Avernus will provide the whole table with treasure at the cost of some life. In the early game, everyone will eagerly take the life trade-off for some treasure, but this enchantment can quickly start killing off players when paired with all the life drain effects that we're running in the deck. It's an insanely fun card that will dramatically increase the speed of the game. My playgroup specifically has gone from 2-hour games to somewhere between 40 and 90 minutes. Now I'm not saying that Descent into Avernus has done that single-handedly, but it definitely helps. But with our ramp covered, we also have quite a few cards that will ensure we always have something to spend our mana on. This deck's card draw is split between a couple different methods. First up, we have our basic wheel type effects with Reforge the Soul, Windfall, and Wheel of Misfortune. These are all great budget wheels to get a new hand. Next, we have some passive recurring card draw. Mystic Remora, Phyrexian Arena, and Call of the Ring will reliably give us some extra cards that only get better the longer the game goes on. Skullclamp and Village Rites will let us trade some token fodder for desirable card draw, while Soul Diviner will let us remove the 1/1 counters from our army tokens in exchange for a new card. And last up, we have some cards that will let us draw every time one of our creatures are sacrificed for the greater good. Morbid Opportunist, Smothering Abomination, Liliana Dreadhorde General, and Skyclave Shadowcat all have the potential to keep our hands full as our opponents cast spells. All we need to do is make sure that we're able to kill off our tokens. But in order for our tokens to die before we're able to make a new one from each spell that our opponent casts, we're going to have to reliably sack them throughout the course of the game. Having a sack outlet in play is incredibly important in order for our deck to function at its max power. For this deck, we've included Golem Patient Plotter, Viscera, Yahenni Undying Partisan, Ashnod's Altar, Spawning Pit, Goblin Bombardment, and Yawgmoth Thran Physician. These cards will allow us to sack the tokens our commander makes before we make the next one, allowing us to get a death trigger and ETB trigger off every spell that our opponent casts. These sack outlets even have secondary effects. Viscera will let us scry through our deck, leaving the best card on top for the situation. Ashnod's Altar would generate a ton of mana, while Spawning Pit can start spewing out its own tokens. And Yawgmoth of course will let us draw cards while slowly killing off some of the creatures on board. With all these sack outlets, it's also smart to have a couple other cards besides our commander to generate some tokens. Our sack fodder is what will get the wheels turning, as they are essential in card draw and our path to winning. So we're also including the Locust God, Ophiomancer, and Gisa the Hellraiser. These can all reliably make the tokens that we will need, especially since we have a ton of cards that will trigger Gisa's crime ability. Now that we have the bulk of the deck marked out, it's time to cover a few utility cards that will really polish it up. Elrond, Lord of Rivendell, is a fantastic creature that will let us scry from creatures entering and even lets the ring tempt us if we have multiple enter the same turn. With our commander out, we can reliably filter through our deck by discarding our hand and drawing a new 4. Rose Room Treasurer and Pitiless Plunder will create treasure tokens for us, one for when creatures enter the field and the other for when our creatures die. Reanimate and Victimize will let us return to the field any key creatures that may have died, while Mithril Coat and Kaya's Ghost Form are great protection pieces for our commander or any other important creature. But I think it's time to meet this deck's hidden hero, a card that synergizes so well with many different pieces of our deck, and that card is Drivnod Carnage Dominus. This creature will double the effects of all of our death triggers, from card draw to our game enders, making it super valuable for a great portion of the deck. Now it's time to review the final portion of our deck, the game enders that will have everyone bowing down to Sauron. Our game finishers will again utilize the tokens that our commander will create when paired with one of our sack outlets. Agate Instigator, Perforos God of the Forge, Witty Roastmaster, and Impact Tremors will all deal damage when our tokens hit the field. As long as we're able to sack the army that Sauron creates after each opponent casts a new spell, we will constantly and slowly ping down our opponents. Mirkwood Bats, Agent of the Iron Throne, Zulaport Cutthroat, Bastion of Remembrance, Nadir's Nightblade, and Blood Artist will then drain some life when our tokens leave the field and die. And to finish off the deck, we've got one of the strongest game enders in the deck. The accolade of today's video will finish off our opponents without needing any support, and that card is All Will Be One. This enchantment pairs perfectly with Sauron since army tokens are created through 1/1 counters. Every time we create an army or buff up an existing one, we'll be able to get in our damage no matter what, making All Will Be One such a strong card for this deck. And with that, the deck is complete. For a complete list of the deck, be sure to visit the link below. While you're down there, consider using our TCG Player affiliate link when making purchases from the site. By using that link, you will help us continue to expand our content. Sauron is just a powerful commander that gets rolling fast. If you enjoyed the deck and plan to test it yourself, be sure to show it by liking the video and subscribing for more EDH content.